Hello everybody, welcome one and all back to the Jank Drawer. Once again, I am Sam and this is the Jank Drawer, and welcome to another Midweek Metagame check-in. We are here on the brand new Arena account to bring you some more wonderful content of budget plays and things that you can do if you're following along at home, or if you're just in a similar situation like I am, where you might not have a lot of cards, or you might have not the right cards, and you're looking to get every single possible reward that you can possibly get while operating underneath a budget. Here, we've been doing this for the past couple of weeks, and we've started to get to the point where we've got some pretty good cards going, and we're making some pretty good progress towards fulfilling all of our goals. And once again, we're going to be going into another midweek metagame. Usually these are great because they give you 3 guaranteed rewards, 2 guaranteed rares, and 1 guaranteed cosmetic, assuming that you can get 3 wins in whatever the metagame of the week is. This week, the midweek metagame is Phantom Sealed. This is going to be Lorwyn Eclipse Sealed, so for those of you that were here last week when we did Golden Pact Sealed, it's going to be a very similar idea, although instead of only getting rares and mythics from a whole bunch of different sets, we are going to get regular packs of Lorwyn Eclipsed, and we're going to try and get the best sealed decks out of it. So if you remember a lot of the principles that we talked about in last week's episode, where we were talking about just general sealed strategy, a lot of that same thing is going to come up here. Specific facts that I know about Lorwyn is that the best color in Lorwyn Limited is green, and then you want to stay open. And in Sealed, we just want to play the most powerful effects that we can play. So with that, let's start up this and open our 6 packs. So let's see what rares we get. From our 8 rares, we get Kinsbale Cavalier, 4 mana 2/2, Knights you control have double strike. Selfless Save Fright, 5 mana 4/2 with Flash and Convoke. When it enters, choose a creature type. Other permanents gain Hexproof or Indestructible until end of turn. Curel, Attentive First Year, 3 mana 3/3, 2 untapped creatures you control. Copy target triggered ability. You may choose new targets for the copy. Activate only once each turn. Adept Water Shaper, other tapped creatures you control have Indestructible. Champions of the Shoal, 4 mana 4/6 as an additional cost to cast a spell. Behold a Merfolk and exile it. Whenever this creature enters or becomes tapped, tap up to 1 target creature and put a stun counter on it. Bree of Clan Stoutarm, 4 mana 4/4, 1 and a white and tap. Another target creature you control gains flying and lifelink until end of turn. At the beginning of your end step, if you gained life this turn, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost if the spell's mana value is less than or equal to the amount of life you gained this turn, otherwise put it in your hand. Mirrormind Crown, 4-drop. Artifact equipment, as long as it's attached to a creature, the first time you would create any 1 or more tokens each turn, you can create that many tokens that are copies of the equipped creature. And then Mutable Explorer. When it enters, make it mutable. So, unfortunately, it looks like we are probably going to want to play some version of red-white to play the majority of our rares. So let's see if there is a red-white deck that is worth playing. We have Klakan Festival, Adept Water Shaper, Cumbered Reegery, Shieldbreaker, Wanderbrine, Kinsbale, Liminal Holds, Thoughtweft Imbuer, Flamechain Mauler, Feed the Flames, Squawk Roaster, Sizzling Changeling, Curel, Bree, that gets us to 35 cards. We can also play Keep Out, kills creatures. How many Knights do we have in this? Move that out of the way. This, we don't need our untapped GG. Oh, well, it didn't get rid of it. There we go. I also didn't spell knight correctly. So we only have the Cavalier as a knight, so it might not even be worth playing our Cavalier. Do we have any other knights? We have Bristlebane Outrider and Gallant Fallen Knight. So we have 3 knights total in our entire pool. So this is one take on it. This is just playing all of our green and red cards. Our red and white cards, I mean. That are pretty good. We could fill positions with feastlings, stomplings. Guildweaver. So it's not a great deck. I'll admit to that much, but I think it's a deck that can win games of Magic the Gathering. The general plan is that we are just playing low to the ground aggressive creatures. We're trying to hit a 2-drop on 2, and then we're trying to be aggressive. We have our Adept Water Shaper, so other tapped creatures we control have Indestructible. And then we just have Clock and Festival. We just can keep making a whole bunch of 1/1s. Like, do we actually have a better... What does our green look like? Do we have a Kithkin deck? Not really. We do have some of the really good cards, though. Okay, if we cut all of our red cards and just put in the best green cards. So we put in Selfless Safe Rights, we put in Pitiless Flist, put in this, put in Crossroads Watcher, Mutable Explorer, Verluent Emissary, Shimmerwild's Growth, Great Forest Druid, Kinsvale Cavalier, Guiltleaf's Embrace, maybe not Guiltleaf's Embrace. Bristlebane Outrider, 2 Dawnslide Archers. I just like this curve better. I don't hate this. What is our blue? We have Champions of the Shoal that we're not playing. We have Rhymekin Recluse that we're not playing. But that's really our only 2 good blue cards. Black, we have 2 Bogslither's Embrace and 1 Blight Rot. And 1 Shimmer Creep. We don't really have a Vivid deck at any kind, do we? I mean, we have Prismatic Undercurrents, which is good for Vivid. But no, not really. Let's play this green-white deck. I think we're playing the best cards that we've got. We're not playing all of our rares, but we're playing an okay green-white deck. And let's see how it works. We found our first match already. That's great. This is Verluent Emissary on 1, Encumbered Reejerey on 2. I like this. We'll keep it. It's pretty aggressive. It's low to the ground. If we can draw our 3rd land, we can make our Mutable Explorer on 3. Let's play this Encumbered Reejerey. Gain a life. We still would really love to draw that 3rd land. That would be kind of huge. That's the result that we're looking for right now. Our opponent has played Overgrown Tomb into Forest, so I don't know what exactly they are going to be playing as far as creatures are concerned, but I think we're pretty ahead of the curve here with our low to the ground. We're fighting Hex to kill our 2/1. Interesting. Well, we'll play this 1/1 that makes a land when it enters. And now we've ramped up to 4. And it allows us to play this Cavalier, and Mutable Explorer, as a changeling, is a knight, and therefore has double strike. Once again, we'd love a land off the top. If we could get a land off the top, then we can play our Klekken's Festival and hold up, keep out, or we can play our Timid Shieldbreaker. Both of these things are good. If we don't, we'll just probably make our Mutavault into a creature, and then hold up, either keep out or our Shieldbreaker. Because Mutavault is also every creature type, and therefore also gains double strike. So we just attacked for 10. And I'll play this 2/2. And we can pass the turn. Once again, we're just going low to the ground aggro. Our opponent doesn't seem to have any answers for it, which is very nice for us. Our opponent is now all the way down at 5. They've played their first creature of the game. And it has Ward 2, so we can't actually do anything about it. So if they block Kinsbale Cavalier, they still take 6, 8. This brings them down to 9. This brings them down to 1. And we kill their Pummeler for hire. And we still have 3 attackers, so they have to play 3 blockers this turn. Or another Pummeler for hire and gain a whole bunch of life. And that's only 1 blocker. Do you got 2 more blockers? Nope. Cool. So we got there. So just getting there behind the fact that we have a whole bunch of things. So that's the other thing that I forgot to mention, and so we should probably actually look at this, is our deck gets infinitely better with Changelings. Because Changelings are all knights, and our rare gives all of our knights double strike. What other Changelings should we be playing in this deck? Since we have Prideful Feastling we can play, we have 2 Stomplings we can play. We can still play this Curel Attentive First Year. If we put those in, and we take out, we keep out, take out the Dawn's Light Archers. Take out the Wary Farmer. Okay. But that also gets us to our first reward. This is our first reward of the day, chat. Today, we can look for any rare or newer from any card in the entirety of Magic the Gathering Arena. These are really huge for us. Once again, we are trying to do this new account challenge where we are not allowed to spend any money, and we're trying to get all of the rares and uncommons and mythics that we can get to build the best decks in the format so we can compete at the highest levels of competition. And for every single rare we get, that is one step closer to reaching that ultimate goal. And this time we get, it's a rare, Thunder of Unity. This is a 3-mana enchantment saga for a red, a white, and a black. If you draw 2 cards, for the first chapter, you draw 2 cards and you lose 2 life. And then for the second and third chapter, whenever a creature you control enters this turn, each one loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So it's pretty good in the Mardu tokens strategies that came out of Tarkir Dragonstorm, specifically when they get to mobilize, and so you're creating a whole bunch of 1/1 warrior tokens in the middle of combat. That's where this second and third chapter really pop off. And then just card to draw in colors that generally don't give you card draw is always appreciated. Are we going to use this card? Probably not, but it's an interesting card to have as a build around. With that being said, let's go try and win games 2 and 3. Now that we've seen the error of our ways into the fact that our thing that gives all of our knights double strike is so good with changelings, we have now upped the changeling count in our deck significantly. Hopefully so that we can manage to have as many changelings as possible. Changelings, also all Kithkin, so this Thought Weft Imbuer gets even better. We'll keep this, though. A Great Forest Druid. We are on the draw. So if our opponent plays something early, we have just a great wall to hide behind in this 0-4. Like, this 0-4 blocks this feisty Spikeling forever. Then we can play our 3-5 next turn. We still block that. We got a 3-5. They can only block with the Meander's Guide. Wow. I think our opponent doesn't know what their cards do very well. Other than they wanted to make this 1-1. Let's play this Thought Weft Imbuer. And we can attack for 7. And we've got just 2 massive walls, which is great. Sig is very, very good. Our opponent does have kind of the nuts for their blue-white Merfolk deck. Could draw any of our limited removal spells to be able to kill this Sig. That would be great, but I get the feeling that might be a little difficult to put together. I don't know if we play our Feastling next turn, or if we play our Safe Right next turn, or if we just hold up our Safe Right. They have played a Lofty Dreams to make a 5-4 flyer. We don't have any way to make any flyers on our end. 11 damage, though, on turn 5 is not bad. We still have a very high likelihood of getting through this turn pretty much unscathed. We're going to take, for sure, 6, maybe even 7 damage. But we can take that. Heck, maybe even 9. Because we're being attacked by this Sig that can't be blocked. But that'll take us down to 4. And currently they have nothing back that can block this Outrider. Unfortunately, we didn't leave our Selfless Safe Right up. Okay, our opponent saw the writing on the wall. This person with an Outrider was just going to keep getting pumped by all of our walls here. And, you know, we'll take that. This brings us to our next set of rewards, chat. This is once again a guaranteed rare or better. We are going to get a rare, and this time it is Barb Servitor. This is a 4-mana 1/1 artifact creature construct from Murders at Karlov Manor. It is indestructible, and when this creature enters, suspect it. Whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. And whenever this creature is dealt damage, target opponent loses that much life. So it's a really interesting mono-black version of a Stuffy Doll effect. Stuffy Doll or Brash Taunter. There are all these effects that are usually these 1-mana or these 5-mana 1/1 creatures with indestructible that when you enter the battlefield, you choose a target opponent, and then any damage that we dealt to that permanent is instead dealt to that opponent. And it's a really interesting effect. This is the only one that doesn't want to sit back and defend. This is very much a, we want to get in there because it is suspected, so it can't block. It has menace. And if you hit your opponent with it, you draw cards. So it's a really interesting card. Is it a card we're going to play around? No, but it is, you know, rather interesting. This is a really good hand. Great Forest Druid into multiple Thought Weft Imbuers, into Curel. I really like this hand. This hand absolutely goes hard. Kirill can double Thoughtweft Imbuer triggers as well. This is like 04 and 05 Tribal, but Kindred. This is 04 and 05 Kindred, but in a good way. I guess a lot of it depends on what our opponent plays here. If our opponent plays something that we want to defend against, we'll play the 04. If not, we'll play the Shield Bearer. Although I think the 04 is just kind of always the play because it lets us go from 2 mana on 2 to 4 mana on 3. And that lets us start playing Thoughtweft Imbuers. All of this, again, depends on what our opponent does here on their turn, too. So our opponent has played an enchantment that does nothing on its own, so is entirely reliant on our opponent casting creatures and putting counters on them. We also, for the first time in many games, finally drew one of our removal spells. So we have something for any of the big creatures our opponents plays, like this Chaos Sphere. Although we are not necessarily that intimidated by this Chaos Sphere, because it is once again a 3-2 and we have 04s and 05s. But next turn we can play a 3-3 and a 2-2. The Starfire is also not that much of a deal, because even if they're putting counters on their stuff, it only ever does 2 damage per turn. And we can live through 2 damage per turn for 10 turns. And right now it is not a threat. If it ever becomes a threat, we can liminal hold it and undo a whole turn of its damage cycle. Okay, our opponent is playing Rimefire Torque. They have named Elemental, which is kind of the only deck that this goes in, but even then I don't necessarily think that is like a playable card. Here's Kirill. Here's the Timid Shield Bearer. I see no reason to attack for 2 there. If we're ever attacking on this board, it's going to be with our Kirill, and it's when we have both of our Thoughtweft Imbuers in play, so we can give it +9/+9 each turn. Lava Leaper is an interesting include. It will give us the extra mana first, which we are going to use. We're going to tap for our Thoughtweft Imbuer, and then we are going to tap for this Liminal Hold. And then we will liminal hold their Lava Leaper. And honestly, I think what we'll do is we will Kirill Attentive First Year, tapping our Thoughtweft Imbuers to also eat their Chaos Sphere. And then Kirill... It's actually more damage if we attack with Kirill alone than if we attack with Timid Shield Bearer as well. And Kirill gets to attack for 9. But we've used a single liminal hold to wipe our opponent's entire board. And now our opponent has nothing to do. Since this is only counters on creatures, so it doesn't care if they put a counter on their Rimefire Torque. Play their own Chaos Sphere again. I will play this Mutable Explorer. Tap the Thoughtlift Imbuers. We'll make 2 Mutavaults. We'll make the Mutavaults real boys. We'll attack with Kirill. Kirill is now going to get +12/+12. Chaos Spewer is going to jump in front of the train. Explosive Prodigy. It's going to be able to deal 2 damage. The only things that kills is Mutable Explorer and Timid Shield Bearer. Which, Timid Shield Bearer, I'm kind of fine with dying. We'll just Liminal Hold. Once again, we'll copy the Liminal Hold. Tap our Thoughtlift Imbuers. I will also eat their Rhymefire Twerk. Make this a real boy. Make this a real boy. And then attack for 13. Good game. And there we go. And so it's kind of as simple as that. Once again, chat, once again, YouTube, the main thing that you're looking for in any of these games and what you're trying to do as you do this is identify what your pile can do and what it can do really, really well. So for us, we built around the most important rare in our deck, which was Kinsbale Cavalier. Gave all of our knights double strike, and so we played as many knights as we could find. In our pool, the only knights were Kinsbale Courier and Bristlebane Outrider, and then this Gallant Foul Knight that we didn't even end up playing, and then all of our changelings. Prideful Feastling, Gangly Stompling, and Immutable Explorer, and the Mutavault tokens that it generated. We also played as many of the other rares that we could fit in from our colors as possible. So we had Selfless Safe Right. We had Kirill. We had just an Adept Water Shaper so that we could be able to attack if we needed to. And then our game plan was just always trying to make something as big as possible with our Imbuer, playing around the fact that changelings are very important. And so if you're trying to fit any of the various kindred theories that are in this draft format, because this draft format is very much vertically designed of you want to play around each of your individual kindreds as much as possible. Don't forget that your changelings fit any of your kindred to help fill out your curve. And sometimes, and especially in ours, like we're playing it over things like our Kithkin that are here because they are just that good at it. It also works well with our safe rights, just because we can name one kindred and get all of them. And then play around your bombs. Kirill is very good. Him copying all of the extra triggered abilities on our liminal holds made it so that our liminal holds were gaining us 4 life and exiling 2 things. That's huge. And that's kind of what we did here. So this is another just opportunity to practice for free. Once again, Phantom means that we're not going to be able to keep any of these cards other than the rewards that we just got. Speaking of, we have our last reward of the video. What is our cosmetic that we are going to get? Drumroll, please. Preponderant Pearl. It's from Alchemy 2026. When this artifact enters, conjure a card named Ponder into your hand. Whenever one or more merfolk you control deal combat damage to a player, sack this artifact. If you do, conjure a card named Flooded Strand into your hand. Ponder being, of course, a 1-mana blue sorcery. Look at the top 3 cards of your library, put them back in any order. You may shuffle. Then draw a card. And Flooded Strand is a land that enters the battlefield, pay 1 life, sack this artifact, search your library for plains or island, put it onto the battlefield, and then shuffle. It's not a card we own, but it is a very pretty cool cosmetic, and that's a great thing. And hopefully this has been entertaining for you all. I've really enjoyed playing these. These midweek metagames, I think, are very fun and easy, especially when you get to have these phantom sealed, where you just get to practice your sealed ability. Limited is the real great equalizer I have found in Magic the Gathering, and so especially if you're finding yourselves in a situation like me, where we're playing a lot of these events because we're brand new to the account and we're trying to build up what we can do. This is one where anyone can play it across any account level. You don't need to have any of the cards. You just need to know a little bit about sealed theory, how to identify what your rares are, and then look at what your archetypes and your things you should be doing. Luckily, major archetypes are always spelled out for you, and this should be a lot of fun. I hope you all enjoyed. I know I certainly did. If you did, please leave a like. And a comment. It really means a lot. Share the video with your friends. And if you really enjoyed, please subscribe. We're trying to really grow here at the Jank Drawer and be able to bring this kind of energy and this kind of opportunity to all of you week in and week out. And the support that you offer us is what allows us to continue doing that. It allows us to keep the lights on here in the studio and to continue to keep on going and bringing you this entertainment and this education. And I hope that you really enjoy it. Until next time, I've been Sam. This has been the Jank Drawer. And take care of yourselves.